Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Are the recent mass layoffs at the FDA a calculated move to streamline government, or a reckless gamble with public safety? That's the question we're tackling today. New reports reveal a chaotic situation at the Food and Drug Administration, with employees being fired and then asked to return. But what's really going on behind the scenes, and how does this affect you? Some of the very people responsible for ensuring the safety of your food, drugs, and medical devices were just given pink slips. We're not talking about a few bad apples. We're talking about potentially hundreds of experienced scientists and regulators. And get this, some of those let go were directly involved in reviewing Elon Musk's Neuralink brain implant technology. Neuralink, the company promising to revolutionize how we interact with technology, has been under intense scrutiny for its safety protocols. Now, the very people evaluating those protocols are suddenly out of a job, or at least they were. This is a developing situation, and the details are frankly disturbing. The big question is, can we really trust the FDA to protect us when its own workforce is in such turmoil? Let's dive into the details and find out what's really happening. Okay, so here's the breakdown. Late last Friday, the FDA started calling back some of the employees who were laid off just a week prior. These were primarily probationary employees, meaning they hadn't yet completed their initial trial period. Imagine getting a call on a Friday evening from HR, telling you to come back to work on Monday, as if nothing happened. According to sources familiar with the situation, these employees were told they'd have their computer and network access restored by Monday. Some of these calls went out to former employees in the Center for Devices and Radiological Health, which, as you know, is responsible for overseeing medical devices and digital health products. This center was reportedly hit particularly hard by the layoffs, which immediately sparked outrage from the medical device industry. Now, it's still unclear exactly how many terminations will be reversed. The FDA and the Department of Health and Human Services haven't released any official statements yet, leaving everyone in the dark. But the fact that they're calling people back at all suggests that something went seriously wrong. The initial firings came in the wake of President Trump's executive order aimed at shrinking the federal workforce. This order triggered layoffs across numerous government agencies, including the CDC, NIH, and CMS. The FDA's termination notices cited a lack of fit for continued employment, claiming that the employees' skills and knowledge didn't align with the agency's current needs. Apparently, the agency sent out emails telling employees they'd be placed on administrative leave and receive 4 weeks of pay. Here's where things get even more interesting. According to multiple sources, some of the fired FDA scientists were specifically involved in reviewing Elon Musk's Neuralink. Neuralink, as you probably know, is developing brain implants that they claim will revolutionize healthcare and human-computer interaction. But these devices come with significant risks, and the FDA's approval is crucial. The FDA had initially rejected Neuralink's request to start clinical trials, citing safety concerns. However, the agency later granted approval, and trials are currently underway. Now, consider this. Elon Musk, who oversees Neuralink, has been a vocal advocate for cutting government waste. He even spearheaded an effort called the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, aimed at reducing the size of the federal workforce. Is it just a coincidence that the FDA employees reviewing his company's technology were among the first to be let go? Some might call it streamlining, others might call it a conflict of interest. The FDA plans to rehire around 300 people in total, but the White House claims that over 1,000 FDA staffers were initially fired. That means a significant number of experienced professionals are still out of a job. This isn't just an FDA issue. It's part of a broader effort by the Trump administration to downsize the federal government. The administration has reportedly asked FEMA officials to identify employees working on climate, environmental justice, equity, and DIA initiatives for potential firings. Layoffs have also hit the IRS, TSA, Department of Defense, and numerous other agencies. The Trump administration is aiming for budget cuts between 30% and 40% across all government agencies, with staffing reductions serving as a major area for spending rollbacks. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency is playing a central role in these cuts. Probationary employees, who are mostly new hires with limited job protections, have been the primary target. But even some Republican senators are expressing concerns. Senator Lisa Murkowski, for example, noted that the administration has fired over 100 Alaskans and argued that many of the terminations will do more harm than good. She added that the Trump administration's approach is bringing confusion, anxiety, and now trauma to our civil servants. Senator Bill Cassidy similarly criticized job cuts at the FBI, saying, "I am all for efficiency and ultimately downsizing the federal government, But firing large numbers of new FBI agents is not the way to achieve this. So what does all of this mean for you? The FDA is responsible for ensuring the safety and efficacy of a vast range of products, from prescription drugs to medical devices to the food you eat every day. When experienced scientists and regulators are suddenly fired or forced to work under immense pressure, it raises serious questions about the agency's ability to fulfill its mission. The FDA's review process is complex and requires specialized knowledge. For example, when evaluating a new drug, the FDA considers factors like its chemical structure, its mechanism of action, its potential side effects, and its effectiveness in clinical trials. This process involves analyzing massive amounts of data and consulting with experts in various fields. The layoffs could also affect the FDA's ability to respond to public health emergencies, such as outbreaks of foodborne illness or the emergence of new infectious diseases. A weakened FDA could lead to slower approvals of life-saving treatments, increased risks of unsafe products reaching the market, and a diminished ability to protect the public from emerging health threats. Consider the recent bird flu outbreak. The USDA accidentally fired officials working on the federal government's response to the outbreak and is now trying to rehire them. This kind of chaos can have serious consequences for public health. The entire point is that the FDA is a critical agency, and any disruption to its operations can have far-reaching effects. Now, let's look at the different perspectives on this issue. On one hand, proponents of government downsizing argue that these layoffs are necessary to reduce waste and improve efficiency. They believe that the federal workforce has become bloated and inefficient, and that cutting staff will save taxpayer money and streamline government operations. They might argue that probationary employees are the logical place to start, as they have less experience and are easier to replace. Furthermore, some might argue that the FDA is overly bureaucratic and that its regulations stifle innovation. They might point to Neuralink as an example of a company that has faced unnecessary delays and obstacles due to FDA red tape. On the other hand, critics of the layoffs argue that they are reckless and short-sighted. They believe that the FDA is already understaffed and that cutting staff will only weaken its ability to protect public health. They might argue that probationary employees are often the most enthusiastic and dedicated members of the workforce, and that firing them is a waste of talent. Furthermore, some might argue that the FDA's regulations are essential to ensure the safety and efficacy of medical products. They might point to past instances where unsafe drugs or devices caused serious harm to patients. To verify the impact of these layoffs, we need to track key metrics, such as the time it takes for the FDA to approve new drugs and devices, the number of recalls of unsafe products, and the incidence of foodborne illness outbreaks. We also need to conduct surveys of FDA employees to assess their morale and workload. This is the only way to determine whether the layoffs are truly improving efficiency or simply jeopardizing public safety. Let's talk more about the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, led by Elon Musk. Musk has long been a critic of government bureaucracy and waste. His vision is to apply his entrepreneurial mindset to government, cutting costs and streamlining operations. He believes that technology can play a key role in improving government efficiency. For example, he might advocate for using AI to automate tasks, reduce paperwork, and improve decision-making. However, critics argue that Musk's approach is too focused on cost-cutting and that he doesn't fully understand the complexities of government. They might argue that some government functions, such as public health and safety, cannot be easily quantified or automated. Furthermore, some might worry that Musk's involvement in government could create conflicts of interest, particularly given his business interests in areas like healthcare and space exploration. It's crucial to remember that government agencies like the FDA operate under a complex web of laws and regulations. These regulations are designed to protect the public from harm and ensure that government agencies are accountable to the people. Simply cutting staff and automating tasks without considering the potential consequences could have disastrous results. So, where does all of this leave us? The FDA's recent layoffs and rehiring efforts have created a climate of uncertainty and anxiety within the agency. The long-term consequences of these actions remain to be seen. It's possible that the FDA will be able to adapt and continue to fulfill its mission effectively. However, it's also possible that the layoffs will weaken the agency and compromise public health. Ultimately, the fate of the FDA depends on the decisions made by political leaders and agency officials. It's crucial that they prioritize public safety and ensure that the FDA has the resources and expertise it needs to protect the American people. The FDA acts as a gatekeeper to the market, ensuring that products meet safety standards and efficacy requirements before they are available to consumers. The agency's role is to balance innovation with risk management, fostering an environment that encourages scientific advancements while safeguarding public health. The FDA's decisions not only affect the U.S. market, but also have global implications, influencing regulatory standards and practices worldwide. What do you think about these layoffs? Are they a necessary step towards a more efficient government or a dangerous gamble with public health? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this developing story.